What's up, people? On today's show, we're going to be predicting the Arizona Cardinals 2024 NFL record. I think they're going to be way better than a lot of people think, but stick around to the end of the video to find out what that looks like. Leave your take of the whole thing down in the comments. If it's good enough, it'll be a part of next week's show. And while you're down there, go ahead and like the video if you liked it. Subscribe if you haven't. We're on the road to our first 1,000 subscribers, and we want you guys to be a part of it. We got some cool big stuff coming up. I'm Devin. The other guy is Zane, and this is Buffet Sports. Let's get into the video.
Yeah, okay, good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. Dropping heat like every season. Underdog like Willie Beeman. Classic like Dom singing. Blasting like bombs ringing.
We're doing the Cardinals today. I've been blowing smoke up their butt. I've been saying that they are, you got to specify Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, I found one. I found one.
Okay. I've been blowing smoke up their butt for the longest time, saying that I think they're going to be really good, and this just goes to show it. So let's jump straight into it. Starting off in the regular season, week 1, the Cardinals travel to Buffalo to play the Bills. They dropped this game to the Bills in week 1. Josh Allen's returning. He's got something to prove, and they're going to catch the brute end of it in the first week. So week 2, they head home to play the Rams. I think the Rams are a bigger question mark than we really think. I think we saw from last year that they're one injury away from being worse than a worse team than we think. So I'm going to give this early matchup to the Cardinals here in week 2. So they're 1-1 going into week 3. They play the Lions here, dropped game. Lions are just simply better. So they're going to drop this game. Week 4, they're playing the Commanders. It's a tight game through the first 3 quarters, but the lack of defense and the QB and a rookie QB just kind of cracks in the fourth quarter. So Cardinals pull this one out. Week 4, they head into week 5, 2-2, head to Candlestick Park. They head to Levi Stadium to play the Niners in division game. They're currently 1-0 in division. They're going to be 1-1. The Niners are going to bend them over. So this is 2-3 heading
How's Marvin doing so far?
This is the big game here. Right here. So week 6, they go to Lambeau to play the Packers. It's still September. It's October at this point. We're in week 6. He's kind of getting a feel for it. It's a big game. He's matching up with Jair Alexander, and guess what? He goes off here.
Boom.
He goes off. He shows it. He shows out against Jair Alexander. I'm a number 1 in this league. Cardinals win this game in Lambeau against the Packers.
Tough game.
Pushing them to 3-3. There's an upset kind of every year. And I don't think it's too much of an upset, but it's enough to where people are kind of surprised here. But buckle up. We're about to go on a run here. They play the Chargers. This is a dub. The Chargers are simply just, we don't know what they're going to be, and I lean on the side that they're going to be bad. They're going to play the Dolphins here. They're going to Miami, okay? I think the Dolphins are going to be nicked up early year. It's starting to get
don't affect them.
Yeah, they're going to be a little bit nicked up. The Cardinals, it doesn't affect. They play in Arizona. They're in Miami. I think this is a dub for the Cardinals here.
Yeah.
I think they get the best of them here. The Dolphins are volatile, and one injury can derail them. The Cardinals, potentially Marvin Harrison Jr., they've got a good run game. They did a bunch. They had a great draft, A+ draft, had 12 picks. We'll talk about it a little bit more towards the end of this, but they fixed a lot of their holes on the defensive end. You let Tyreek eat, and then you just say Tua and the 2s and 3s beat us. So I think the Cardinals can pull this game. It's a close one. It's an upset, but I think the Cardinals can pull this game. So they're 5-3 heading into week 9, playing the Bears here. Okay. At home in Arizona. Caleb Williams has been going through it. Okay.
Hot day.
Hot day. I have them losing to the Bears.
Oof. It's not
In
as
their
hot as California.
They're in Chicago. So I have them losing to the Bears. It's starting to get a little bit chilly. It's a close game the whole way through, but ultimately, I think the Bears just have one more weapon, and their
Yeah,
defense is just a
yeah,
little bit better
yeah.
because they're not all rookies. So I'm going to give this game to the Bears here. They are 5-4 heading into week 10. They play the Jets. They're going to drop another one here to the
Yeah.
Jets. I'm expecting Aaron Rodgers to be healthy and for that
Full
defense
form.
to just be, Marvin Harrison Jr. is great, but he's a rookie, and that defense is good.
Sauce is on them all night.
Sauce is on him all night. Pause. Um, 5-5 heading into week 11. They have a bye. They lose. Um, Now, week 12, here's the big run. Here's where they separate from the pack. Okay.
Men
They
become
play,
boys, or
they
no, boys become men.
boys become men. They play the Seahawks. Week 12 in Seattle. This is a win for the Cardinals.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
that makes honestly that makes so much sense because when the Cardinals, for whatever reason, play the Seahawks, it is a crazy competitive game. That makes
And
so much sense.
and they've got a bunch of the Seahawks are going through a bunch of turnover. We have no idea what they're really going to be. I've got the Seahawks being at the bottom end of this division. This is an in division game. So Cardinals beat them. They go to Minnesota to play the Vikings. It's indoors. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter. The cold
JJ
doesn't affect
McCarthy,
them.
same
This is
dome.
a dub for the
Yeah,
Cardinals. They're going to
yeah.
beat them. Then they head back home to play the Seahawks again. They just beat them.
Mm,
Seahawks are, I think, at this point late in the year. I said this in another one of our predictions. I think they're going to be trying out quarterbacks at the end of the year.
yeah.
So this is another win for the Cardinals here. They are 8-5 heading into week 15 to play the Patriots, the worst team in the NFL at
Okay. No,
home.
Denver Broncos are the worst team in the NFL.
The Patriots, the worst team in the NFL. They are 8-5 here. They continue the win streak. They're rattling off wins towards the end of the year. This is another dub for the Cardinals. They are 9-5 heading into week 16 now. They head to North Carolina to play the Panthers. This is the third worst team in the NFL. This is another win. They're on a 4-game win streak here. 10-5.
It's turning out to be a really easy schedule for them.
That's the point. They've got a lot of duds. That's why I'm high on them this year. Now, week 17, they go to LA to play the Rams. They're going to drop this game. The winning streak
Yeah,
comes to an
yeah,
end
yeah.
here. Late game Rams, late season Rams. They're healthy. I was looking at the Rams schedule. They've got a tough schedule, so they might miss the playoffs, but they're going to try and turn it on at the end of the year and win some
Oh yeah.
games. So this is a loss for them. They're 10-6 heading into week 18. They play the Niners and get shit on at home. Okay. No, we don't need to talk about it more than that.
Every consistency is when they play any team plays the Niners.
Okay. So they finished the year 10-7, dude.
That is very good. And it doesn't seem that far fetched either.
No, they've got a ton of duds on it. Like that run after the bye, coming out of a bye too, where they come off of so they get the Bears, they get the Dolphins, Bears, Jets, and then they get a bye. That's the gauntlet. Those are
Oh
the
yeah.
best teams they play. Those 3 weeks, Dolphins, Bears, Jets. Those are arguably the best teams they play outside of the teams in their division. They get a bye, and then they get Seattle twice, the Vikings, the Patriots, and the Panthers for 5 weeks. Like, there's so many duds there. I can totally see this actually happening here. Like I said, we'll get into more of why I think this is totally feasible. They had 12 picks in this year's draft, and it was an A-plus draft. They drafted 3 corners. They got Marvin Harrison Jr. in the first round. They got Trey Benson in the third. Was it the third that they got Trey Benson? He was the first running back off the board, I think.
Yes. Third or second. Third or second was
One of
the
the
first running
two.
back off the
They
board.
grabbed another running back to give James Conner relief. They got a defensive piece. It was the third round because in the second round they took a DN that they're really high on. Or no, they had 2 picks in the first round. They had Marvin Harrison at 4, and then at 27 they had the DN. So I think Trey Benson was third round, and I think they took a corner in the second. I think they took a corner in the second.
Yeah.
They had a great draft. Now, of course, what's the X factor? The rookies have to pan out. Of
True.
course.
True.
That's the X factor. But going on the idea that they're young and what they don't know can't hurt them, they're
Mhm.
just going to be out there playing football,
Yep.
like just balling. So 10-7 to me, they've got a bunch of duds on their schedule. They had a great draft. They've got two superstars in the making. They've got a decent tight end. They have what looks to be a good running game. They've got their pieces. They've got their pieces figured out on the defensive end. It looks like I like that they've got a defensive. Normally, you don't want a defensive head coach in the NFL. But when
Yes.
you've got a Marvin Harrison Jr. and a Kyler Murray and a young budding
Trey
offensive
Benson.
coordinator, and well, no, a young
Okay. Yeah.
offensive coordinator, I was looking into his kind of history. He worked with Kirk Cousins with the Vikings. He worked with the Browns. I think was it 2 years ago, either 2 years ago or last year, he worked with the Browns when I think it was last year. And
If it was last year,
or no, it
that's
was
great.
it was 2 years ago when they had
It-
Jacoby Brissett.
That's all right.
But when you look at the numbers, Jacoby Brissett, I think, was like 60 to 70% completion percentage during that year. So he doesn't have a long career. He's a young guy, but when you have Kyler, when you've got a Marvin Harrison Jr., you've got a Trey Benson, you've got a decent tight end, you've got James Conner, you have all the weapons. The offensive line is going to be better, and you've got young guys on the defense to support you. You can take chances in a lot of that. Also, I was looking at kind of the run game numbers. They had their best year as soon as he showed up. James Conner had one of his
Yeah.
best
Yeah.
years as soon as he showed up. I like the mix. And like I said, the Seahawks are going to be on the back end of the division because their division is Niners, Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks. So Seahawks, I think, are going to be on the back end of the division. Rams, looking at their schedule, they've got a tough schedule. They've got a couple gauntlets in their schedule.
Mhm.
I've got them. I looked at their schedule. I think they're going to end about 9-8. So they'll just miss the playoffs because by one game. The Cardinals, that then they just slide into that spot. And if they can steal a game against the Rams, they end the year like 3-3 in division, and they've got one better game than the Rams. So unfortunately, the Rams miss, Cardinals make it, and then they're not going to beat the Niners, but that's fine. So what does that mean? Potentially they slide into the back half of the playoffs and they go to Atlanta or potentially Dallas. And I love them in either of those spots.
Yeah. I love them in the playoffs versus Dallas
I
for
love
sure.
for sure I love them in Dallas because if they go to Dallas, it's a repeat of the Packers.
Mhm.
The Dallas, especially this year, is built to front run. If they can't front run, they're not going to win games because they don't have a run game. And all it takes is one mistake where Dallas throws a pick. If they're down, uh, let's say they're down 14-3. Okay. Dak starts forcing the ball and throws a pick, and all of a sudden they're not front running. They turn the ball over, and all of a sudden now it's 21-3.
Yeah.
Dallas is not built to come back from that, in
Yeah.
my eyes. I think that they're going to start forcing stuff, and then mistakes happen. So I love them in either a Falcons spot or a Dallas spot. And I think it's a legitimate chance that the Cardinals win a playoff game this year. They have a 10-7 season. They win a playoff game, and we see them in the second round of the NFC playoffs. I
Yeah.
think it's completely possible.
Yeah, and Kyler Murray was hurt. James Conner and Kyler Murray were hurt at the front end of this season,
They
and
got
then
a
when they came
full.
back, they looked
They
pretty
looked.
decent, pretty good.
Kyler Kyler showed flashes. James Conner returned to form. They had a full offseason, a full healthy offseason. Because when you're recovering, if you're recovering from injuries, you don't really get an offseason. They got a full healthy offseason. They got a full training camp. Now they're going to come into week one, get trounced by the Bills, and get that game out of the way, and then just go forward. I think it's possible we could see 10-7 Cardinals. And when week 12 rolls around and they're 8-4 or whatever it was at that point, and everyone's like we're looking at the playoff picture, and then all of a sudden at like 6 or 7, we get to the Cardinals and we're like, wait, they're 8-4, and they're like,
Yeah,
what? They're 8-4 in week 12, and no
sneaky
one's going to
team.
talk about it. And then all of a sudden we're going to be entering the playoffs and they're going to be in the race. I think
Yeah,
it's completely possible. 10-7. What do you guys think? I think it's completely realistic for the Cardinals to be a potential playoff team, depending on how the Rams end the year. They've got a tough schedule, and the Cardinals have some duds. So I think they can go 10-7 and potentially be a playoff team. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. While you're down there, like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't. We're on the road to our first 1,000 subscribers. And if you made it to this point in the video, comment down below too. Full course, boys, letting us know you guys watched the whole video. Again, I'm Devin. The other guy is Zane, and this is Buffet Sports. It's all you can eat. Ciao.